Hello, good people. Hello, good people.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Turn it off. We're going to give you all time to join us today. For those that have already joined us, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to see you, to hear from you today. Hope everyone has had a great and blessed week. Thanks again for joining us on this Thursday. We're here every Thursday at 7 p.m.
Yep. You're joining On That Note with Twane
and Tiff.
And we are here.
We're here. So like and share. If you haven't already, go and share our YouTube. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And like and follow our Facebook page. Everything is listed under On That Note with Twane and Tiff.
Yeah.
So again, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you all supporting us every week. Thank you, because you don't have to. So thank you for spending time with us.
Yes. And tonight's discussion, church hurt. Who or what caused you to leave? I think that's a pretty good topic.
That's a good one.
As you may have seen throughout the week, this was a topic that Ricky Smiley talked about. Was that this week?
Yes.
He talked about this week about church hurt.
And just let the record show, this topic was already chosen before we saw the post that Ricky Smiley posted about church hurt. So we're not copying off of anyone or anything like that. This was a topic that was already submitted to us previously, so we're already planning to discuss it. But it was just a coincidence that he talked about the same thing, which is pretty cool, I think, because a lot of people deal with it, but not necessarily talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I personally appreciated hearing another side regarding it. So I appreciate hearing another person speak on that topic. That can be a little touchy and a little tricky sometimes. So I was glad to hear from someone else, hear someone else's thoughts on that.
Yeah. I want to see, we'll bring some people on. We want to get your opinions about some stuff as well in reference to this, thoughts and opinions. To see what are your thoughts on even your definition or your opinion on what is church hurt. Like, what does that mean to you? Like, have you ever experienced it? Are you going through it? Have it happened to you in the past? And if you're currently going through it, how are you handling it? Yeah.
How do you move past that?
Yeah.
How do you, because obviously you have a relationship with God. Thank you for speaking. And so how do you come out of that after you've experienced some type of church hurt from someone? How do you move forward from that? Because I know there can be, I just know, and this is not a personal thing, but I just know people that already struggle with going to church anyway. And so that can be something that can completely push a person from going to church altogether.
Yeah.
So I just know a lot of people that they don't necessarily not believe in God, but they don't believe in man, I guess, so to speak. So when they go to church and something happens, they're like, this is what I already expected. But honestly, you expect to get something different. You should. And when you don't, it can set you back. I think that can set you back a little bit.
True.
So, okay, I said, what does church hurt mean, though?
My opinion of church hurt is it can be someone, meaning, say a pastor has done wrong by you. A church member has done wrong by you. Or you feel like you don't get the attention that you need in the church. maybe you was in dire need and the church wasn't there to help you, and that's supposed to be one of your safe havens to go to. Mm-hmm. So to me, that would be a definition of church hurt. That's just my opinion and my definition of what church hurt is to me. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want other people to tell me, what is your definition? Yeah. Like, what do you consider?
I mean, I agree with what you said. I think, it could go as something, a pastor, even just recently I heard someone mention a pastor kind of dismissed them from church. There was like something that took place in church. And so the pastor basically was like, if you want to leave, leave. These are people that you expect a different type of response from. These are people that you feel like should meet you where you are. Yeah. And when you just are so quick to dismiss me when I'm struggling in an area, or I feel like I'm not being heard by someone that I would expect to hear from, it hits you a little different. Or just say you could be in a hospital. Yeah. You could be in a hospital and you are an active member of a church in a hospital, and not to hear from anybody that you go to church with or any of your leaders from church, that can make you feel dismissed. I mean, I can speak to that, like being, in a place and you in a hospital and you don't hear from anybody. And I've heard, several people mention things like that. So I think it can be a number of things, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. What are some of your opinions? Or what do you feel? Or have you experienced it before?
How do you move forward if something has hurt? Like if again, like it brings me back to people that are not necessarily really, really active in church, right? Mm-hmm. And we're trying to bring them to church or whatever the case is. And you come and you feel frowned upon. How do you bounce back from that? Like, because I know a lot of people will be like, okay, this is what I expected from the church. I'm not going back. So how do you move forward from that? Just say, for instance, a young woman go to church, mm-hmm. and she's dressed improperly. But this is all she has. So it says, come as you are, right? Or whatever. I'm coming. This is all I have. I'm here. And then to be frowned upon by people of God, that can be hurtful. How do you move forward after something like that happens? Most people wouldn't want to.
How would you move forward?
I don't know. I think it would be hard for me, because you going into a place where you feel like you should be accepted. And when you're not accepted, that doesn't make me want to continue on. But at the same time, your relationship is not necessarily with the church, it's with God. True. But not everybody looks at it that way.
But you also don't want to go into church and feel like people got their nose turned up towards you. No. So you don't want to feel like you walk around the church on eggshells. Right. So I would say, like, for me, if that was to happen to me, just say, for instance, I was a drug dealer, or I was somebody that smoked weed, whatever the case is, right? Mm-hmm. When I go to the church, I'm always smelling like weed, right? But I'm trying to change at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to church because I'm looking for a change. And when I go to church, everybody always, I don't want to sit by him, or he this or he that. They saying negative things. You hear it. Mm-hmm. That makes you uncomfortable and not want to be there. Right. How do you handle it? Do you continue to say, I'm going to keep going because I want to have a close relationship with God? Or do you address it with, like, somebody in the church? Do you go to the pastor? Do you go to one of the church members? I don't know. What do you do? Me, I know my attitude. I probably would stop going to that church.
I would. Know that I would.
But as somebody in the church, how do you handle it? From the other standpoint. So if you somebody in the church and you heard other people talking about this young man or woman or whatever, how do you handle it to help this person?
Well, I mean, obviously, you're supposed to embrace. Me personally, I embrace anybody. I don't frown upon people because we're not, nobody's perfect. We all have our struggles. We all have things that we're working on. And it could be that one particular act of kindness that you do for someone that could be life-changing. Mm-hmm. So I would never do that. Even though, you wouldn't expect no one to act like that, but it happens. Right. So I just don't know. I think because I do have a relationship with God, I can see past that. But I won't lie. And this is no diss to any kind of church that I've ever been to. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, anything like this. This is just an overall conversation. Please understand. It's an overall conversation. It's not directed toward anyone, anybody, any church, any of that. But I've been in situations where I felt like, I felt out of place. And no one, the people that you expect to be able to lean on when you can't, it's hurtful. It's hurtful to move forward from that. And me, the mindset that I have, I would draw. So
I think that on my end, I would probably go as far as speaking with the pastor to see, just to see where he stands. If I could talk to him and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is how your church is making me feel. And see if there can be some type of arrangement or something.
So if you go to the pastor and you have the conversation with the pastor and you expect the pastor to maybe have your back or have an option or something, and the pastor responds negatively. We just had this conversation with somebody.
Yeah, then I'm gonna probably end up leaving.
So how does that work when you leave that church and go to another church? Do you feel like you have a wall?
You can, because you feel like to me, a lot of people use that as saying
LaRonda said this is a loaded topic.
A lot of people say this is how church people act. They don't say that church.
Right.
They're gonna go to another church and say church people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's just, I went to this church and this church treated me like this. You're going to put up a wall to feel like all churches will treat you like that, which will make you not want to go to church.
Right.
Which in turn now keeps you from building that relationship or that personal relationship with God because
you was going to church you were hurt by. Right. And that's hard to get past. That's hard to get past when you feel hurt or betrayed by a body of people that you feel like would never do that. Because most of the time, I mean, not all times, but most of the time, there are some people that come to church because they're looking for help. They need something. It's fine, just leave it. They need something. They're looking for something. And so when you come and you are rejected, how do you move past it? Like you feel rejected, then what? You're rejected by a body of people that is supposed to love you and embrace you.
Right.
And I'm not saying you're going to always disagree because, at the end of the day, church is a business. It's a business. So, there's certain, you're not going to always agree on things and I can speak to that because I've worked for a church before.
Right.
So, and it wasn't until I worked for a church that I got to understand what goes on behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. It's a lot and it's a business. Unfortunately, you don't want to look at it like that, but it is.
Right.
So, when you outside coming in and I'm coming for a reason, and then you get the opposite of what you expect. That's hard to bounce back from.
Do you consider, what if other people consider you sensitive?
And
then you got to look at it this way too. Well, not look at it this way, but from I would say, scenarios. Okay. So you got a pastor, right?
Feel free to join us live if you want. Send us a request.
You have people that's in the church that has businesses, right? And the pastor only publicly in the church acknowledge a handful of people that has businesses, right? So I'm going to not necessarily promote, but acknowledge your business because I'm close to you. Now, I know other people in the church that has businesses, but I don't address their businesses. You one of them people that he don't address.
Okay.
But he know you got a business, right? Mm-hmm. How did that make you feel?
I would feel some kind of way. It would make me wonder, okay, what sets them apart from me? If we're all here, I'm a member of your congregation and you're supporting businesses or small businesses and you only acknowledge certain people, but you have a wide variety of people that are entrepreneurs, but you only have a select amount of people that you acknowledge, I think that's wrong. I don't think that's right. Because if that's something that, if you're actually going to step into that and do that, if you can't actually acknowledge everyone, don't acknowledge anybody. It doesn't matter how great of a scale one person's business is over another.
Okay.
If you can't reach out and embrace the whole body of entrepreneurs that are in your church, don't single out anybody. Just don't do it. I think that's where some ministries, unfortunately, it seems like favoritism.
Right. Agree.
And it could be, that could not be that could not be the issue, but if I were in that situation, that's how I would feel.
Right.
I would feel that type of way. Like, well, why are you supporting one or two and not everybody?
Right. So I've been at a church before where the pastor was having an affair. Ooh. Right? And nobody knew, but it came out. He had to announce it because the significant other was going to announce it if he didn't. Mm-hmm. So he had to come out and say it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in the church, that messed a lot of people up. A lot of people left. And you know that saying, what gets on the head, runs down the beard, listen, when I tell you, divorces start happening in that church like crazy. But it caused a lot of church hurt. Where, I ain't gonna lie, like me as a person, that made me look at a pastor totally different. Now, I already had the attitude of they're not God. They're not perfect. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I had the attitude of they're a leader. They lead by example. So I'm thinking you preach what you walk. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't preach one thing, but you doing the total opposite. Right. My mindset was, on the flip side, he or she is going to walk that walk. Mm-hmm. And they're going to live by what they taught. So you give them the benefit of the doubt. But when you're hurt by something that they're doing total opposite of what they're preaching, that can cause you to have church hurt. That'll cause you want to leave. That cause you not to believe pastors. Mm-hmm. That cause you to not even want to go to church. Mm-hmm. Because you're like, they just talking. Yeah. They can preach their lungs out. Yeah. All this hooping and hollering. That, to me, that becomes, I'm putting on church. I know how to do church. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? So I know what to say to make the congregation shout. Ooh. I know what to say, but at the same time, I'm not living what I'm preaching.
I'm living a double life.
Right. So, to me, that caused church hurt at that moment. But the way that I got over it, now I did leave that church because of that. Mm-hmm. Was I hurt by it? I was, because I was involved in the church. So that kind of made me feel a certain type of way about the whole situation. So I had to leave that congregation. Now you trying to find another church, but I didn't jump right back into church because of that. Mm-hmm. So I was out of church for a little minute because of what happened. I couldn't even, I'm like, I don't believe what they talking about.
Mm-hmm. LaRonda said can do church but can't live it. Yeah.
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 Totally.
So how do you move past that? Because I know for me, I would be in church looking like, everywhere I go, like everything is suspect. Yeah. Because of, like, it's like you waiting on, okay, I'm going to go here, and you waiting on them to do something. Because you expecting them to do something because of what happened before, or, you know, at a different time. Yeah. So I know it would be hard for me to receive again, because it's like when you going to a church and you're spending your time, you're spending your money, and all that, you serving and you doing everything, and then for you to go through a situation where you're hurt by your leaders, that's hard to bounce back from. Yeah. And so for me, everywhere I go, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna sit back and see what's gonna happen, because it's a relationship. I gotta get trust again. Right. But it also goes back to you having your own personal relationship with God. But at the same time, you know, being in church and being you know, within the walls of a church, you gotta get. I mean, you gotta get back into. That's hard when you've been hurt by people that you feel like would never hurt you. That's hard. And
it don't necessarily have to come from a pastor.
No, it could be other people in church.
It can be other leaders in church that treat you wrong. It can be jealousy in the church. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I mean, it can be a lot of different things that cause you church hurt. Mm-hmm. But it's trying to figure out, how do you bounce back and how do you handle it? Right. When you go to another church, or if you go back to that church. Mm-hmm. How do you come back from it? How do you come back from it? How do you handle it? How do you trust again? Mm-hmm. How do you forgive if it was towards you? I mean, I usually give people the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, I have discernment to where I can see stuff. I know when somebody putting on. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna say I always catch it. But for the majority of the stuff that I see, that I do catch, it be spot on. Yeah. And I know how to kind of like maneuver myself up out of that situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it takes time, even for me and Tiff, it takes time for us to really join. When we was visiting churches, it took time for us to really join the church. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because of that. Yeah. And so we wouldn't just go in and saying, oh, this is a great church, we gonna join here. No. We be quiet, we sit back, we pay attention. We listen to the word. Right. But at the same time, we scoping stuff out. Yeah. We really, really paying attention, because we try to guard ourselves. Right. Guard our kids. Right. You know, to where we're not put in that situation again. Right. You can't help it. Right. If you are put in that situation. Right. But at least you can try to prevent it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I don't know.
Well, Gary said, our pastors don't operate this way. We have some hateful members.
Yeah, true.
And then LaRonda
totally
said,
true.
It takes some adjusting and serious trusting God for real.
Yeah. I mean, I even now, like, I pray for the pastors. I pray for
absolutely.
the church that I'm attend.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, not all pastors is like that. Some pastors are great pastors, and it's the sheep that's out there acting up. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, like, they out there doing the most.
So how does that work, like, when you are in a church, or you attend a church, or you're a member of a church, whatever the case is? And it's not actually the leaders, but it's the members that are being devious and, you know, manipulating. It can have the same kind of effect, but do you have an expectation of the ministry to step in and intervene? How does that work if it's not actually leadership and it's people in the church?
Well, I don't think they can step in and intervene if they don't know. And then if they do know and they don't do nothing about it, that's different. So that's why I was like, you go back to, do you go and tell somebody? Do you go and tell a member? I mean, a leader? The way that you feel? If you're a visitor, even if you're not a visitor, do you go and tell someone in leadership, hey, this is what I've been experiencing with some of the members, and you allow the pastor to address it as a congregation? Or do you address that particular member? And then if you address that particular member, could it be some drama in the church because of that? You don't know. Yeah. I would prefer to go and tell somebody in leadership.
And see.
Let's see. Yeah.
Let's see what's going to happen with that. Let's see how this is addressed, or if it is addressed.
Right.
So
it's been a time where there was some rumors going around a previous church that we was at about me and Tiff, right? And they were lies, made up rumors, but the church member was the one that was going around spreading these rumors. The pastor called Tiff and I and addressed it and asked, "Hey, do I need to address this? I felt like that was real good. Yeah, that was extremely nice for him to do it like that. Yeah, and we handled it to where it got dealt with. We were good. Yeah. Everybody was good. So that was good.
But had not it came that way or was presented to us in that way, I think it could have went bad. Because he's like, okay, if I need to address it, I will address it. Because we can't have any kind of situation going on, in church. So I appreciated him for doing that. Because that could have been bad. Because that wasn't just like little small rumors. That was a lot.
So Michelle says, leadership don't do anything, just sweep it under the rug. That's not good. Like I think that you'll lose
good members.
That taints the atmosphere. Because if you sweep yourself under the rug that needs to be dealt with, and people having issues, sometimes you can't even receive the word because you're dealing with other stuff within the church besides getting into, like really receiving.
Right, because you're distracted. Yeah. That's a distraction. Yeah. You're distracted because of everything else that's going on. You can't even receive what you need to receive from the pastor or whoever. Yeah. You can't even receive it because of everything else that's going on.
What are some experiences that you guys have had? Like, what have you experienced in the church that has caused you church hurt? And are you dealing with it now? Or how did you handle it?
Yeah. Or have you not gone back to church? Yeah. Because some people, it makes you withdraw. Especially when you're heavily involved. Yeah. And you expect people to have your back and they don't. That's a different type of hurt.
Yeah. And you can come on live so you can request to join live.
Or typing in the chat.
Yeah, either way.
We want to hear from you.
But let us know.
Yeah. So I think that I think it's just all in the matter of how it's handled and your relationship with God. Yeah. Because I know for me in situations, I had to have a relationship with God in order to move past certain things. Because my feelings was hurt. You don't expect that. So, you got to trust God. It's bigger than just a man. You got to be able to move forward. But it is hard because you're guarded everywhere you go after that. Right. Until that is broken. And your trust. Like now, I'm at church, I'm good. Because I love my church. I go to church. I receive what I need to get. I get what I need to get. And I'm good. But it took some time to get there. Yeah. It took some time. It took some time to get back to where, I guess I was excited about going back to church again. Right. If I can be honest with you, like it took a minute.
Yeah. Like I ain't gonna lie, I still feel a certain type of way about some people, some leaders that I've been connected to that I feel like I was done wrong. I still feel a certain type of way about it. Yeah. Now, I've forgiven them, and it don't bother me, but it made me feel a certain type of way. At this point, I don't even care. Yeah. It is what it is. But it made me feel a certain type of way. So now, when I interact or if I see this person, our relationship is different. The way I feel about you is different. And I would say that's a sign of church hurt. You know what I'm saying? You don't
view them the same.
I don't view them the same. Ooh. So even though you may be a powerful leader or whatever the case is, like to me, I lowered your bar.
So you don't see them the same. The respect factor is not the same.
Yeah, I still feel like you anointed. I still feel like you got the Spirit of God on you, whatever the case is. But at the same time, the way you handled me, I don't appreciate it. And that made me feel I disconnected myself from you. So you can't do nothing for me no more. Ooh. Don't even, and I'm serious, like I wouldn't even want you to, don't even call and pray with me. Because that's how I feel. Like, I'm good. Like, that's how, I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset. I'm not church hurt about it no more. I'm just, now I handle you with a long handled spoon. Like, I don't need you to do nothing for me. I'm good. I'm all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was because of the way they handled me in the church. Like.
So did they cause you to have a wall up when it came to other ministries?
It did in a way, to a certain extent, because of their role and the relationship that we had. Okay. So now the wall is, I try not to get so attached. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? I distance myself, or I keep a wall up to where I don't get too familiar with certain people or certain leaders or certain gifts that people carry. Because I don't want to go through that again. Yeah. So to protect myself, I just kind of distance myself from that. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And it's not nothing against someone else. It's just that I want to prevent something from happening.
Okay. Well, so, I mean, at the end of the day, you know where you had to come from to get you back in the place where you are now. So you know what you had to go through to get to a comfortable place now. So you're protective of your space now because of past situations. Yeah. So, and I mean, at the end of the day, I know for me, I grew up Baptist church, small little church. My pastor was my pastor up until I moved here. Same pastor, forever. And so, in coming here and going to different churches since I've been in Dallas, you have certain expectations. And I think for me, because I grew up in a small church and I had a relationship with my pastor, and for things that have happened since then, it's been really hard for me. It's been really hard for me because of how I grew up and what happened in church back home. Like everything, like all the things that I've experienced as an adult not since I've been an adult, but I would say since I've been here. I didn't deal with those things back home. So I think for me, it hit different. Like I hold a grudge a little bit. Not necessarily, I know that's a wrong choice to probably use. But I do. Like, for me, it took a little bit more effort for me when it came to church because I felt betrayed. That's how I felt. I felt betrayed. So for me, it's like, now I don't know how to receive you. I don't know. And then when I go somewhere, I'm looking at them like, well, let me just wait and see what they're going to do. Like, that was my experience, you know, in going to different churches. Like, I would wait, like, okay, I'm just going to wait and see what's going to happen because of experiences that I've had. I'm better now. Yeah. But it took some time to get there. It took me some time to get there. So, I mean, everybody got something different. But what you saying... Everybody handled that. The whole situation with the pastor and the divorce and things like that, that would shake any church. Yeah. Like, that would be bad. That would be bad. Like, that would... I mean, you don't expect that. I mean, I understand, you know, people are human just like you and I, and people make mistakes. But as a pastor, and that's your story. You get a divorce because, you know, somebody in the marriage had an affair, whether it was the wife or the husband or whoever, had an affair. And you got to announce this to the congregation that this has happened. You got to know you're losing members. How do you rebuild that church back from the hurt that you caused?
That would have to come from a pastor's point of view.
Oh, I wish I could talk to somebody. I would love to know that.
Matthew 18:15-16. Instruct members to settle their differences privately with each other, and if this fails, what does it say? They are to seek help in resolving their dispute. Right.
I like that.
Right. Totally agree with that scripture. Because it's one thing to go straight to the pastor and say, hey, this member is doing this, doing that. Mm-hmm. And the pastor go and address this member, that could cause that member church hurt. You know what I'm saying? Right. Some people sensitive like that. Some people can get mad and frustrated with the pastor. Mm-hmm. And then you have the other side where me and you talk it out. Okay. You know, and we don't even bring the pastor in it. Mm-hmm. Me and you talk it out, try to resolve the issue. And if you just still acting ignorant and you don't really want to resolve it, then I go. Right. Hey, pastor, look, I'm trying to be involved with the church. I'm trying to do this, do that. But you got to remember there's, like, they on some other stuff. And you allow him to address it then. And then however that member is feeling, that's on them.
You know, the one thing that I can appreciate and that I love about our church is when Apostle is, you know, oftentimes I've heard him say, when he tells you that, you know, it's not with him, your relationship isn't with him. Mm-hmm. He always tell people to come to the altar, put your hands on the altar, your relationship is here, not with me. I love when he says that, because I'm like, you know what? You right. I had to, like, for me, that was helpful for me. Because I'm like, okay, you right. My relationship surpasses, you know, it's great to have a relationship with your leader or whatnot, obviously. But it gave me a new perspective when he put it like that. And I appreciated that. Because I'm like, okay, it's bigger than just a human, a body. It's bigger than that. So, what he said?
We have mature members that move on. Then we have those that want to fight. Hey. You do have them that want to fight.
You do.
I've seen it.
You been in the church? You seen somebody fight in church before?
Yeah.
I ain't never seen nobody fight in church before.
Yeah.
For real?
Even when I was young.
An actual physical fight in church? Physical fight. Yeah. Dang. How'd you get there in church?
Then I've been at some churches where the members they didn't like the pastor. They didn't like him because of his attitude. He was very arrogant.
Ooh. Well, how is he a pastor then? Somebody had to.
Hey, feel like that's his church.
So you got members that don't like the pastor. Yeah. How does that work?
You have a lot of that, really. I've seen videos where members wanted pastors kicked out.
How does that work?
I mean, sometimes it's some churches have membership boards.
They can vote them out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then some you have where pastors like, this is my church.
I ain't going nowhere.
My name on it, this and that. And
you can leave. I'm saying. Yeah. And that's the thing when they say that you can leave.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people say that, pastors have told them, you can leave.
Yeah.
And as a leader, you don't expect nobody to tell you to leave. Even if the member is wrong in what they do, as a leader, you should have a different approach than to tell someone from your congregation to leave. Especially if they're not doing anything to harm someone. You can have a disagreement, but to tell somebody to leave your church, I think that that's the absolute wrong answer.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, so it's some churches now. I've seen Jamal Bryant talk about, actually Jamal Bryant went to a church that the whole church was like a LGBTQ church. Like free, like a free church. I don't know what they call themselves.
Oh, I don't
know. Jamal Bryant went to the church. I seen a clip where he went to the church and apologized on behalf of other pastors and the black church for not accepting that church and not accepting them. And I've seen where pastors like, hey, don't apologize for me.
I was just about to say, how do you take on the initiative to apologize on behalf of someone else?
Yeah, but I think Jamal Bryant, and this is just my opinion, I feel like he's moved over to more the political type preacher or pastor, to where it ain't even really about saving souls no more.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. I feel like he on a whole nother level now, to where it's about the money. It's about promoting the black culture.
Yeah,
and
I definitely think he's in a different,
staying relevant to whatever you got going on. I want to be involved type.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, to make myself look good.
Yeah, I definitely think he done switched gears a little bit.
Yeah,
because I've always listened to him for quite some time now, and I know. I would say when I first started listening to him up until now, he's completely different.
Yeah.
And I understand growth and changing and all that. I get all that. But he is not the same pastor that he was now. And
what's a good reason?
What was the question?
What's a good reason for a pastor to ask a member to leave the church? I mean... Shoot.
I think if a member is being, just completely disrespectful to the church itself, to the members, I think, when you are just you're not being a good representation of your ministry, I think in those situations, a conversation would have to be had. But in most situations, I would say people that I've talked to that have left church because of ministry or whatnot, it's always been because the pastor told them, you can go. And only because they came to the pastor with an issue. Like you were saying earlier, I would talk to somebody. They came to the pastor with an issue, and he wasn't willing to, resolve the problem or whatnot, or didn't see an issue. And so he just told them they could leave if they wanted to. And I just felt like that was wrong. Yeah, you should have a voice.
It's a few different reasons. It can be... I seen a clip the other day where a pastor was saying, guys, you ain't coming in this church with no skinny jeans on. I don't want these women up here seeing all your junk. So if you come in here with these pants on, don't come in. I seen that. I've heard to where some pastors were talking about people that gossip a lot in the church. They don't want gospels in the church. Like, you can leave. You have some people that, like, all they do is cause drama, like messy people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It don't matter how many times a pastor has had a meeting with them. At some point, he like, I don't even want you to be a member no more.
He causing a distraction.
Yeah. You got some females that go to church intentionally to cause a distraction.
Right.
Being provocative, wearing skimpy clothes. Maybe they messing with or trying to talk to married men. That you have some women and men that just don't care. And if a pastor find out, like, they go try to handle that and say, hey, you need to leave my church.
I think in situations like that, I feel like it would be appropriate.
But I mean, I don't know. It all depends on that pastor too, though.
Yeah, you gotta know you didn't leave.
You got some pastors that they messy.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They like drama.
That's true.
And
I don't know. But I just think it all goes back to what we were saying earlier. Just having a relationship. You have to have your own relationship with God in order to move past something when you feel like you've been betrayed or you've been hurt by someone in the church. And it's not always pastors that cause hurt. It can completely be one of the members, or it could be somebody. You could even have somebody that come visiting the church, like a guest preacher or somebody, evangelist or anybody coming to your church. They can say something to you to hurt you. It ain't necessarily always the people in the church.
Right, it ain't always your church.
It ain't always your church.
It can be a different church.
It could be a lot of things that could trigger it. Some of them down low.
Yeah, it's hate to say it, but it's some down low pastors out there.
It is.
Some down low members.
It is. It is.
You know.
So how does that work when, you have situations like that? You have people that are part of the LGBTQ plus community and them going to church and not being welcome. Because you hear a lot of pastors say, they calling you out as soon as you walk in the door. They may not verbally point at you or like actually point at you, but they got a whole lot to say about your lifestyle. I can't speak to it because I don't know how that would feel. Right. But I can imagine that you would feel rejected. And that's the things that you don't do. You don't have to agree with a person's lifestyle. That's okay. I don't think that they're asking for anybody's permission. Right.
And what sin is greater than other?
Right.
Like we try to put what is it? Not levels, but degrees on sin.
We do as humans.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like
and
a sin is a sin,
right,
regardless of what it is. Mm-hmm. So to me, when you try to point out a specific sin and you address someone, I think that you're I feel like you could cause a lot of church hurt.
Yeah,
I think you can. And there's so many different, you got a pastor that trying to call out someone that's gay. Mm-hmm. But then on the flip side, you got a member that all they do is cuss every day or all day, smoke weed, get drunk. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, but you don't address them.
Why
it's
not?
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's like you judge, you give grades or levels to what sins can be welcome and cannot be welcome in the church. Yeah. That ain't fair.
Yeah.
So it's
I can't speak to it because I don't know. I don't know that walk. That's not my area. Right. But I can imagine feeling rejected and outcast going into, because you don't know what that person, again, you don't know what that person is going through. And it could be the right thing you say or the wrong thing you say that could trigger a person.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of like, I get squeamish when I'm in church and somebody do that. But
see, you overlook the people you like. I see pastors do it all the time.
See, Tyrus can speak to it. He a pastor. He knows. So, I mean, and that's true.
Yeah.
It goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's kind of a favoritism kind of thing. I do this for you, but I don't do this for you. Or I act like this with you, or I don't act like that with you. How does that, I mean, I can imagine being in that position. It's difficult being a pastor, a leader, and all that, because you do want to be one of those preachers or pastors that's inviting to your members and things like that. But when you have select people that you deal with and people that you don't, how does that make the people that you don't deal with feel? You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's on the pastor side of it, that puts you in a difficult place. Because some pastors have a relationship with people in the church and some don't. I mean, they have a relationship with some people in the church and some members they don't have a relationship with. So, that the ones that they just get a high and by, they feel a way about it if you hanging out or if you have a friendship with someone else. I mean, that can be hard because everybody wants to be connected to their pastor in some type of way.
Right. But at the same time, it goes to what I was saying when you say some people are sensitive. Mm-hmm. Because a pastor don't have to be your best friend. A pastor don't have to be... No, that's not what they're there for. A pastor is not here to just be buddy-buddy with you.
Right, that's not what they're there for.
He may be buddy-buddy with somebody else in the church, but he don't have to be that with you.
Right.
And because he's not, you can feel a certain type of way, which again can be church hurt. And it ain't the pastor's fault. That's just you being sensitive.
Yeah.
So we can't blame everything on a pastor or the members especially when you sitting here being sensitive.
Mm-hmm. It's people need to strengthen their relationship with God. I agree. Preach the word and live what you preach. Yep.
Yeah, and I would say one of the main reasons you want to have a personal relationship is because if you get church hurt and you have to take that time out or leave that church and you don't feel like you want to go to another church at that moment or join another church, whatever the case is, you still have a relationship with God at home, outside of church, in your car, whatever the case is, you have that relationship to where you don't miss a beat just because you're not in those four walls. You know what I'm saying? You can't, with you not have a relationship, you putting all your trust in man. So now you frustrated with this one pastor or this one church, which is causing you not to even speak with God or have that prayer time with God or whatever the case is, because you're so church hurt. But if you have a relationship and you have that connection with God, I feel like it'll help ease some of that church hurt. It'll help ease or help guide you to where you need to go or guide you to your next fellowship or whatever the case is.
I agree.
But you sure can't depend on man. You sure can't depend and put all your trust in a pastor. You can't do that.
Right. So I agree with you. So yeah. So Tyrus said, and I can call him Tyrus, everyone, because he's my cousin. So, but he is a pastor. One of the main reasons certain people are incorrected is because of their talent and always available to do what is asked of them, even though their spirit is off.
Yeah, that's totally true. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Quite a few times.
Yeah.
But that goes back to me saying you churching.
You do church.
You doing church. What do you do as a pastor? Do you correct that person? Knowing they ain't right? Or do you just say, I'm going to let you do what you do, but I'm going to use you because I need you?
Oh. Well.
You don't replace them. You go with the flow. I don't know. Like.
Well, I would say based off of, past experiences, pastors that I've, gone to church to previously, I feel like they would correct them.
They should.
They should correct them anyway. Not saying all would, but just some of the people that I know, I think that they would. I think they would correct them. Now, when you have those pastors that openly correct people in public, because they do that. Now, how does that? I mean, you do have pastors that do that. They openly get on your behind.
Yeah.
In public.
Same.
Which could also result in church hurt.
I think in those cases, if they do something in the open, they should be corrected in the open.
Oh, well.
But if they doing something that you just seen in your spirit or whatever, then I feel like don't correct them in the open.
Yeah.
Because that can cause disastrous. That can cause some church hurt. Mess around and lose that member. Yeah. Because they embarrassed.
Yeah.
But you got some knucklehead preachers that they just don't care.
Knucklehead preachers. Well, all right, people. Thank you all so much for joining us this week. Thank you for your submissions for topic discussions every week.
Keep bringing them. Keep bringing
them. Please continue to submit your topics. If you would like to come on and join us on a Thursday, please let us know. We welcome you. We welcome everyone's thoughts and opinions. This is a judge-free zone. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the live, this is not directed toward any one particular church.
Right.
Or any one particular ministry or pastor. This is just a general conversation that we are having. So this is not any shots being fired.
Right.
We are not low-key doing anything to anyone. This is just a topic that was submitted to us by some of the viewers that we have, and we decided to address it.
Yep.
So, again, thank you all so much for joining us every week. We do not take it for granted. We are thankful. We are honored that you grace us with your presence every Thursday. So thank you for your support.
Yes, we continue to strive for greatness. We continue to strive to impact communities if we can and when we can. That's our goal, to build up a platform to where we are able to help in any way we can. If it's them coming on here to receive great opinions from the viewers, then if that's the way that we help, hey, let's do it. So, hey, continue to like, share, follow, and
subscribe to our YouTube.
Sorry. But yeah, we greatly appreciate you guys. And again, thank y'all. This is On That Note with Twane
and Tiff.
And till next week, 7 p.m., we'll see you. Peace.